Totally independent. Fiercely pursuing accountability on policy and implementation. It's time for another DJ Elf 7 candidate interview.
Check it out, folks. Today, I actually have a very special guest, the Unified Platform Series interviews candidates from all over the nation. But this guy is actually running in my home state, so I'm actually quite excited to meet him. We actually have some other mutual people that we know going back, so I know he's been involved, and very excited to have him on. But I'll let him introduce himself. Go ahead.
My name is Pat Hahn. I'm a candidate for the New York State Governor for 2026. I am a registered Republican. I registered with the Board of Elections in February on the 24th, 2025. So I would have an official, legitimate campaign to run. I have a website that's set up, which is Hahn, number 4, governor.com. It's got information about me. It's got my platform on there. It's got donation button and it's got a volunteer button. We're running a grassroots campaign. This is not my first rodeo. I ran for the United States Senate in 2022. Unfortunately, the GOP decided to put their own candidate in and kind of buried my campaign. This is a trend. They handpick and rubber stamp, So this time I decided to get into it a lot earlier. I tried to make my inroads to the GOP chairs, but then they again decided to have their handpicked candidate. But Lee Stefanik was the one that was running. I don't know if that rings a bell to you.
Does.
She's from the northern country upstate. Very nice woman. She's a congresswoman. She entered the arena right after myself. We had our campaign still running parallel to each other. 6 months she waited to make a decision. Then when she finally decided, it pretty much sucked the oxygen out of my campaign because she is a very popular woman. Uh, we weren't able to get a lot of fundraising done. A lot of people geared towards her because she has the name recognition and the money, of course. And then all of a sudden she withdrew. We still maintained our campaign. We tried to pick it up and continue to run with it. Then they decided, well, actually, they didn't decide. Uh, the Nassau County executive just won his election, his second term. 2 days later, he decides to throw his hat in the ring, kind of slaps the people in the face that actually supported him, and decides he wants to run. That pretty much ended Lee Stefanik's bid to run. She didn't want to have a primary. She had other issues that she said family and health as a reason that she withdrew. With all due respect, that I wish she would have stayed. Um, but I'm still in the race, and we're still going forward. They're having a convention in February, the Republican Club and the Conservative Club. This is pretty ironic. For a conservative, they have pretty much good standards for conservatism, which is faith, family, and country. Now, faith is that the candidate has to be pro life. I happen to be a pro life candidate. Um, I'm a strong advocate for the unborn. And I don't trade politics for my religion or my beliefs. I stay firm to what I believe in. Unfortunately, the candidate they seem to be leaning towards is pro-choice. That's something that the Conservative Party don't really support, but they're willing to sell their soul to support them. A lot of
Wait a minute. The Conservative Party is a successful third party here in New York State. And you may know the chairman or not, right, Jerry Chasar, but
yeah,
are
Jerry's
they?
the one that endorsed Bruce Blakeman.
Oh, so they've already decided. It's not really
Actually, they
okay,
haven't decided. That's what's pretty ironic about this whole
but
thing.
it's lining up just from your knowledge behind the scenes that it looks like it's going to go that way.
Well, he had put out a
Okay,
personal endorsement on the Conservative Party's letterhead.
Okay.
If you want to give a personal endorsement, that's fine and dandy, but you do not use the corporate letterhead. Once you use the corporate letterhead, you encompass everyone that belongs to the Conservative Party in the state. That he did.
Well, he is the
But their
chair, so
convention,
he has some clout, I guess. But you're right, like it's a guy decided at the convention, so we're gonna see what
right? The
happens.
delegates make the decision at the convention. So he should have never given that endorsement on that letterhead. He should allow the delegates, which they are. They're meeting, I believe, on the second or third of February
Yeah.
in Albany. I asked to be able to go to that meeting to speak to the delegates. I haven't gotten a response yet.
Okay.
Um, but that I've tried to reach out to the delegates. I'm not privy to their, uh, uh, like phone numbers or emails or how to get in touch with them or who they actually are, which is, pretty ironic. As a candidate, I should be able to have that access. I requested it. I've got no response. Um, Same as the Republican Party. Uh, Back in June of this year, I had requested to have myself able to attend their annual meeting in September of last year rather, where all the chairs from around the state would meet in Albany for their annual meeting. I had requested in June for that, and they said they would get back to me so I would be able to go. And then they did not. They denied me that access to be able to speak at that meeting to the actual chair people that actually vote and the delegates. I was blocked. It's been done to me before, and I'm not the only candidate that they've done that to as well. But I'm the most vocal to let the people know the treatment that you get when you try to run for public office if you're not within the elite group, so to speak. That they block you
Do you, par-
every way they can.
do you participate in county committee?
I used to.
Okay.
I actually belonged to the Suffolk County Republican Club, and I used to be a union delegate for CSEA, and I used to be a delegate for AFSCME, which are unions.
Okay.
So I know what it's like to go to a convention. You get your credentials when you go in, and then you have the right to vote.
Right.
When I went to the GOP club meeting in Suffolk County, when I was an elected delegate, I walk in to sign in to let them know that I'm present and I'm here to do my duty as a delegate. They hand me a proxy form.
Right.
So when I looked at it, I said, "What is this?" "Oh, you got to sign a proxy form uh, before you go in there." I said, "Well, where does this form go to?" "Oh, to the chairman." I said, "This is illegal. I'm present and accounted for. I can vote my own conscience. I don't give my proxy vote to the chairman." But this is the way they do. When I started to question it in the manner in which it was conducted, um, I was then removed
Oh, really?
by the
Okay.
county chair. Yeah, yeah, uh, because I didn't go along with their protocol. That was, in my opinion, was not fair, and in my opinion, was not legal. Uh, the state chairman, Ed Cox, had done that last year. Kara Casanova, who was running for U.S. Senate, she tried to get onto the ballot. She had the GOP in Staten Island had supported her. I think a few other chairs had supported her. Went to the convention. Um, Ed Cox, who's the state chairman, when her name was brought out and it was time to do the voting on the at the convention floor, Ed Cox pulls out 81 proxy votes. You need 75 to win the nomination. He pulls out 81 proxy votes and says, "I declare this the candidate that I've now endorsed with 81 proxy votes as as the nominee, and now the official endorsement goes to him." That is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard. But this is the way they do business. You know, Unfortunately, we never get an opportunity to have our voices heard as a grassroots candidate. I'm staying in this race, and I started this because I am the most vocal person that calls them onto the carpet and puts it out to the media so the people is aware. I call out the hypocrisy as I see it, and I don't do it in a manner of being nasty or disrespectful. I do it because I want them to change the way they're doing business
Okay,
to
and
make it.
when you were on county committee, of course you got to get the petitions for yourself. Did you
Yes.
regularly go out to your did you for your election district where I'm assuming that that's where you were living, you had talked to all the voters in that particular district, so you could actually tilt the elections in that district one way or the other, correct?
Uh, yeah, I only had a small district to get signatures in.
Well, the election district is
Um,
small, right? But what about, did you ever move up to district leader? Did you have any relationship with
no,
district leaders?
no.
Okay.
Actually, I had asked the chairman of the Suffolk County GOP twice to resign because he blocked me from my U.S. Senate campaign because I questioned him when I was a committee member.
Which chairperson is this?
His name
What's
is
the name?
Jesse Garcia.
Okay.
And I did put it out in public, two letters in public on the social media, asking for his resignation, and I explained why. It wasn't done in to be vindictive. It was done because he blocked me, him and the state chairman. Uh, when I ran for U.S. Senate in 2022, I spent $25,000 of my own money, and I had everything pretty well locked in for a real good run against Chuck Schumer. Um, and then Jesse Garcia and the chairman at the time was Nick Langworthy conspired to bury my campaign. They told the chair people not to give me the opportunity to meet with them. Uh, they wouldn't allow me at the convention. They wouldn't even give me the time of day. I mean, I tried to be respectful. I tried to do it the right way, make
Sure.
contacts with them, do what you're supposed to do as as a candidate. And then all of a sudden they just use their authority and deny you the right to speak to the delegates
I
that
think in
actually
this
vote.
case, right, what really matters is the ability to control county and the ability to actually at least minimum control your election district. So, you
Yeah.
know, the thing is that as long as those people are able to control county and state committees, they have that lock and that monopoly, which really bars people that are, um, you know, not necessarily. The thing is that because a lot of parties end up serving like the donor class and they end up serving special interests and things like that, and they get bought out. And what we need is more groundwork. But I really admire everything your fight. I know it's not easy, and I know that the press actually conspires to work with actually a lot of party leadership to control this information to prevent candidates like yourself from ever being covered. So it's quite an uphill battle because they have a lot of relationships that go on. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, but I'm part of that fight as well. Now, just a quick, I do want to keep all the questions the same, and you do have a lot of fascinating information. Why exactly are you running for office?
Well, I love my state,
Okay.
um, and I don't want to move. So I told my wife, I said, you know what? I'm a fighter. Always been. And I was a union president and a statewide board of director for CSCA and corporate. When I used to work at Pilgrim, I was elected.
What is? I'm sorry,
I was.
CSCA. What is that? What type of union is
It's
that?
the Civil Service Employees Association.
Oh, cool.
They
Okay.
represent state, county, towns, villages. They got over 300,000 members
So you worked
throughout
in
the state of
municipal
New York.
settings, so you have more knowledge than most people about how government works.
Yeah. And I actually worked in Albany. I was a statewide board of director for CSEA, AFSME, AFL-CIO. And we were the ones, I was involved with the actual infrastructure of CSEA as a board of director, which is a corporation. We managed the actual corporation of the union as a board of director.
Yeah.
As a president, I represented employees and fought for their jobs and their rights. But as a statewide officer, I was involved with a lot of committees. We worked I was on labor management committees up in Albany. I know the inner workings of the New York State government,
Yeah.
the different agencies, because we represent every single agency in New York State.
And one of the sad things about politics is that someone who's really qualified like yourself in unique ways can be sometimes seen as competition instead of someone who's we're willing to invest in. So maybe you have to take some of this as an honor. I guess it's not really a great honor, but they won't suppress you if you're not worth suppressing. So you're already qualifications are solid, right? Pretty good. So once again, why are you running?
Well, like I said, I love New York,
Mm-hmm.
and what I've seen what was going on with the Hochul administration, actually, all the way, it goes back to the Mario Cuomo days, when I was a union man, and then Andrew, and then, now Kathy Hochul, uh, turned this totally inside out, upside down, almost into a socialist government. I know Mondami's over in New York, so that we're going to really see firsthand what socialism is all about. How that ever turned into a fiasco in that election, but anyway. But as a governor, I would be able to have control over that mayor based on the New York State Constitution,
Yeah.
as well as the U.S. Constitution. I've already cited him publicly of his oath of office, uh, when he had taken out that executive order that Mayor Adams had put in, number 51, which was the protection rights for the Jewish people, anti-Semitism and stuff, and he pulled it, putting them now back into harm's way and a target on them as well for more harassment and threats. As a mayor, his job is supposed to protect everyone. That now becomes a violation of the New York Constitution. So there is now a groundwork for him to be removed, but I'm keeping a watchful eye to see further things that he does. Um, but I'm aware of that. I'm aware of the New York State Constitution because because of my union background, I do a lot of research, a lot of reading. I know law, I know civil service law. Uh, but my main reason to run is because like I said, my background is working with the CSEA board of directors, working with budgets and stuff like that, $1 million budgets I worked on. Um, right now, we got a complete fiasco. Tom DiNapoli, who is the state controller, um, he had put out a report twice. Uh, Even though he's a Democrat, he's fair. He actually went against Hochul. He actually put out documentation of what's happening with the budget and the frivolous spending that they're doing as a result of it, which is putting more and more of a deficit on us taxpayers in the state of New York. Now, if you remember back in 2016 when President Trump had taken office, he changed the entire economy, and the whole country, pretty much, except New York, was in the black. New York was in the red. We were struggling. Uh, Andrew Cuomo was spending money like crazy and putting us more and more in a deficit. So even when the country's doing good, New York is in a hole. When Kathy Hochul took over, it's now became much, much worse. The report that came out of Tom DiNapoli's office is by the end of 2026, we will be close to $1 trillion in debt. So if I'm successful, which I hope I will be, and actually I think I will, is that I'm going to inherit that debt. Now, how do you get out of that debt? Now, Bruce Blakeman sits here and states, if you listen to his videos, uh, you know, uh, one shoe fits all, so to speak. What I've done in Nassau, I could do throughout New York State. No way. You got 62 counties in the state of New York. It's one size fits all is not the approach to go. Uh, First of all, you need to cut back on the deficit. You can't turn around and say, "I'm going to secure, the state of New York." You have no capacity to turn around and secure anything except with state troopers or National Guard. Every county has their own municipality police department. You have no authority to go in there and tell them, this is what I want your police department. You could make recommendations, but you cannot take over like he does in Nassau. Or it's different. It's his county. You could do that. You got 62 counties. You can't do that. So right there already says that he is totally unaware of what a governor has the power to do and not do. The first thing I would do once elected, I realized that I'd be elected as a Republican candidate. I have to deal with the New York State Assembly and Senate that a majority of Democrats. Being my union background, the first thing I would have to do is actually diagnose where the problems are in the state budget to cut back. As President Trump put Doge in, I would implement the same scenario in New York State. We have to find out where the waste and fraud and abuse is in order to get a hold of our finances. Otherwise, we're spending frivolously, creating more problems. Taxpayers pour more money. We need to get control. So that would be the first step to do is find out where all the money is being siphoned off to, where can we cut. Once I get that report, I'm able to actually see where we need to make differences. Uh, if there needs to be a smaller government, I believe in a smaller government. I don't believe it in a government that's filled with bureaucracy and all the free stuff and everything else. It's nice to be able to help people, and that's what I'm all about as well. To not to the point where it's going to cost the taxpayers so much money you can't even afford to live anymore. So if I need to make some adjustments and being my union background, I would call in the unions, sit down with them and say, this is my dilemma. I have a $250,000 debt and I can't continue to go forward spending more and more, never getting out of it. So we need to make cutbacks. So in order for us to do that, you need to have cooperation. You need to be able to tell the unions, look, we may have to freeze the contract for a little while, keep the benefits as we've got, but we may need to consolidate our workforce. I will not lay anybody off. I don't believe in that. I've gone through that in the Department of Mental Hygiene when Mario Cuomo was shutting us down. I know the correction department is going through it right now, and I would not do that at all. Uh, but I also would need to consolidate some of the departments that we do have and maybe eliminate some that are duplicated. But again, I won't know that until Doge decides to show me where the fraud and abuse and misuse. So once I lay that out to the unions and I can utilize the civil service law, which allows me the opportunity to take one employee from one job and transfer them into another job, so they stay within their state pension. Um, so we could work within the system to do that. Work through attrition as a way of cutting back on staff without doing any unnecessary layoffs. Like I said, I will not lay any union members off. That to me is just poor management. People need to work and live, and you're thankful for their service, especially our nurses. Um, then after I get all that information and try to work within the system that way, again, the Senate and Assembly have the power to decide which way they want to spend the money as well. I will not veto a budget because then it gets overturned. So what I would do is I would pick and choose in the budget to line item out. I would also turn around and put a cap on some of the expenditures so that they cannot go over it. Uh, these are things as a governor you could actually do and make a difference to cut back on the spending. They're not going to override your veto line by line, but the message will be sent clear. Any bills that they want to send up that are again more spending and I could I could turn around and veto them as well. There is parameters that we do have, but I would sit down with the legislators. I would sit down with the leaders of both parties and lay out the fine-tuned plan I would have to streamline the government and get a handle on our budget. Whatever I put on my platform, I actually can fulfill. I have the experience and the knowledge to get that done. Again, like I said, I know the state government. You know, Once like I said, get a handle of the budget and we get things under control. I do want to take care of the seniors. The seniors I want to have tax exempt, which means no tax, uh, property tax, in the school district. Once their children is graduated and they're not a foster parent or a guardian, where a child would still be in school and they still had to pay tax. But if all is done and the kids are older and left, they shouldn't have to pay the tax. That'll help them to afford to live in their home and not have to leave and worry about that. The younger generation, which needs to have affordable homes, back in my early days when I bought my house at age 25, there used to be what they call a farmer's home mortgage. It was a subsidized. So if you had X amount of dollars that you worked when you worked that you had as your income, and you bought a home, you weren't able to fulfill the full mortgage. Uh, with the interest. So you would be subsidized. So say you had an interest rate of 7 and your salary would be too much for you to keep that home. We would subsidize the 2%. So you'd be able to make the 5%. Every year we'd evaluate your annual income. And if you raise your income raised, then you would pay 6% until you were able to pay the full mortgage. At the end of the day, when before the mortgage comes to maturity, uh, you owe us the money at the sale of the house, or you pay us at the end that we subsidize you for, which allows a young couple to be able to buy a home, and keep the interest down where everybody's going to advance in their jobs once the economy is good, affordability is there for them, but they need to be able to buy their first home. This is only for first home buyers. It worked in my generation, and it worked out very well. Uh, I would like to try to implement it in the state of New York, uh, again, to help the younger generation to be able to have affordable living, as well as putting a freeze on some of the high rents. That's something that would have to be evaluated, through legal recourses to see what direction we go in. But I have a lot of ideas to try to make affordable living actually affordable, um, for
Okay.
everybody,
Just so you know, the
younger
first half
generation
of
and seniors.
just so you know, the first half of this interview is usually asking questions about yourself, and I know actually you went very in depth, and really appreciate those answers because I've actually interviewed more candidates than any other YouTuber. I've been running this program called Unified Platform for several years, and a lot of candidates, especially people who are, a lot of people who participate in the program have not actually been elected before, and you could tell that there's a real gap in they're not able to give this level of specificity. Now, unfortunately, I got to tell you the truth is that most regular people, because they're not used to answers like this, or because they don't know the systems themselves, like this, the answers kind of shoot above their head to an extent, and it's not as relatable or accessible. But for someone who actually works within these fields, your answers show a level of depth of understanding that is, I would say, in the top 5% of the candidates that I've interviewed. And I really appreciate your level of understanding. And having spent years as a union, they're highly politically involved. I've heard of, civil service, that union before. They're a known union. They're active, and the fact that you spend time in Albany really reflects in your answers. So thank you so much. I'm really actually learning more, and I'm honored to be. I plan on doing more work with you after this. I'm very impressed by what I've heard so far.
I'm also a retired scoutmaster for 25 years.
That's cool. Okay.
So I help the younger kids become mature adults and the next leaders of our country. Actually, now they're probably up for eligible for run for office. The ones I was involved with.
That's cool.
Uh, so I've got uh, a really diverse background. Uh, I worked all my life. When I got out of when I was in high school, I worked as in the department store stocking shelves. When I graduated, I was a truck driver. I didn't have a lot of jobs because I stayed with one job as I moved across. So I got a job at Pilgrim in the housekeeping department in
Okay.
1975. I worked there and then became a supervisor in that department, then took a civil service test and moved up to become a mental hygiene therapy aide. And that's when I ran for the union. I was a shop steward, I was a grievance rep, I became the president of my local, and I ran for the statewide board of directors. I was a delegate for AFSCME, which is an international union, American Federation, State, County, Municipal Employees. And I also was a delegate also for CSEA. And being that we're involved with what I call the parent union, which is every union pretty much are involved with, which is AFL-CIO. They carry over 2 million votes in the state of New York. The reason
Impressive.
why I
Okay.
give you numbers,
Yeah.
realistically, they vote Democrat. The Democrats cater to them and they get them. We haven't won a senatorial election nor a gubernatorial election in 2 decades. Everybody says, oh, they didn't get out the vote. No, that's not the reason. I put out numbers for everybody to let them know that my background, being an elected officer and being a dues paying member for 50 years, I'm now in the retirees union. Uh, I would get their endorsements very quickly because I'm one of them. Not just a dues member, I was an elected officer. I was the one that was out there fighting. So I'm able to pull that away from the Democrat base. You break the Democrat base. Therefore, once you break the Democrat base, you can be the next winner as governor. I'm the only candidate that could do that. I've already got the unions already on what I consider a holding pattern, so to speak. They haven't given a blanket endorsement to Hochul because they know I'm in the race.
It's
If I
amazing. Yeah.
dropped out of the race, 2 years ago, I ran for U.S. Senate. They did the same thing for me. They held
Okay.
off, and
I'll be in contact about potentially working on some projects that can actually help you really connect on those particular issues. But I mean, you're probably helping me tell you the truth, right? You're much more connected in those realms. So I'm excited to work with you. But actually, I'm going to follow the script of the questions I usually ask the other candidates.
yeah,
Well, the thing is that a lot of people have different political ideologies, right? People need to understand who you are. Are you Republican? Are you conservative? Progressive, right? Are you a capitalist, whatever? So, what is your political ideology?
well, actually, what I consider myself as a constitutionalist. Probably don't hear that word much by any candidate. I believe in the Constitution that was given to us by our founding fathers, which is our Bill of Rights, which protects us and also gives us our rights under the amendments. I I believe that is the law of the land, and I support that, and I live by that. Um, I'm a Christian, so my beliefs I believe in family values. Uh, I believe in I'm a patriot. I formed my own patriot group, believe it or not. President and founder of the Long Island Patriot Coalition in corporate. We fight for our rights. I'm a big Second Amendment advocate. I don't believe in any infringements on our Second Amendment. Uh, but I don't believe in, everybody should have a gun. Don't get me wrong on that part. There is parameters, that people should not have, domestic abuse, psychiatric problems, things of that nature. But your average law-abiding citizen, should have their right to be able to protect themselves and their family. The Second Amendment isn't just for hunting. It's for self-protection. Um, I'm a conservationalist. I believe in, you know, clean water, clean air. Um, but I'm not one that goes into, the environment scenario with the Green New Deal, where we put windmills up and we kill all the fish in the water, the whales in the water. You know, that's a little bit too much. Um, I believe in clean energy, but not to the extent of what we're doing, which is not sustainable. Uh, for whatever reason, they really never done any real research on this thing. They just arbitrarily decided to implement it. Billions and billions of tax dollars. Uh, we're getting higher energy bills as a result of it. Uh, as governor, I intend to cut back on all that. But we will look at other resources for clean energy. I work very closely with the environmental groups. I'll work with the EPA. I'll work for our energy resource. Come up with their ideas and suggestions that we can utilize to make it more affordable for people to sustain uh, their homes and have clean energy as well as reliable energy.
I understand.
Um, you know, um, Again, as a conservationist, I'm a scoutmaster. I lived in the woods with the kids.
Okay.
I know everything about the wild animals in there. Hiking, fishing.
Okay.
All that outdoor stuff. So,
So okay,
uh,
let's. I want to get through all the questions, so let me just move on.
go ahead.
So the thing is that sometimes to help people like understand different if someone says, "Oh, I'm a Democrat," right? You might be like FDR Democrat or New Deal Democrat. If you might be a Clinton Democrat because you believe in like the Southern strategy, whatever things they come up with. If you are a Republican, maybe some people might be influenced by different people, such as maybe someone's influenced by Bush or by Trump or other things like that. So, who are your influences, as in terms of your leadership or your right? It could be someone a business leader. Who's influential to your way of doing things?
Well, I believe in America first, the standards that President Trump had done. I know everybody makes it sound like it's a bad word, old MAGA. It's not a word. It's make America great again. It's our country. You know, I believe in that ideology. I believe in that philosophy. Um, you know, I believe in fair and equal treatment to everyone. I believe in capitalism because that was what was founded by us, and it works.
Okay.
Um, I don't fall into the social pattern
This is
as a
this is more
socialist.
like individuals, right? Or maybe because like it helps to understand your ideology. So if you say like you're into capitalism, maybe like what's his name, Jack Welch from GE, right? Is actually a lot of people you know admire his management style or his philosophies, right? So um, once you're asking like who are your influences within your
Actually, to be honest
yeah,
with you, I'm pretty much my own person. I don't really idolize myself with anybody else.
that's cool.
Everybody has their own ideas. Everybody has their own philosophy. I respect
Okay.
everybody's ideology and
That's a
opinions.
fair answer. Completely fair answer. Okay. The next
Yeah.
question is, well, the thing is that different people come to this, and like I said earlier, you actually are extremely accomplished as in terms of with relative information. But what are you most proud of accomplishing? And sometimes people say they're kids. I ask people not to give that answer. I know it's a nice sentimental answer, but if you could give something that's more related to management or governance, what are you most proud? And it could be a couple of things. It doesn't have to be just one. But what things are you most proud of accomplishing?
Uh, as elected governor, what I would be like to accomplish,
No, no, no.
or
What
what,
have you already accomplished that you're
or
proud
what
of?
I have already
Yeah,
accomplished.
what are
Uh,
the biggest accomplishments? Yeah.
I'm also a civic president. I do. I got a lot of backgrounds. I started my civic association accomplishments I've made here, uh, which is safety of our community, uh, addressing the drug epidemic that we have, working with the legislators, working with law enforcement. We made, some accomplishments with awareness within our community and our schools for the younger generation. As a
Can you can you
scoutmaster for
can you be more
25 years,
specific? Like when you say working with law enforcement, right? Like I see what you're most proud of, but maybe it's just the broad idea of working with them. But what did you specifically accomplish that when working with law enforcement? What does that mean? What does that look like?
see something, say something, so to speak. We have some community areas that started a watchdog association to try to keep their neighbors safe when they see something that's out of the ordinary in their particular area, to cut down on crime. Uh, you pretty much are policing your own area, but as far as not doing anything directly involved, but just being eyes and ears,
Okay.
having people stand up for themselves to be able to have a voice. Um, we at our civic meetings we bring in legislators and guest speakers to make people aware of what's going on, um, especially with the, like I said, with the drug addictions that we were very close and worked with in the schools. That's one thing that we actually did get a big accomplishment on. We had our school district had their head in the sand like an ostrich. See nothing, say nothing. Our school is great. Don't talk anything bad about the community. Well, realistically, there is a problem, and we finally were able to get through that barrier, and now they're open arms with it. We bring in law enforcement to have them speak at the school meetings, and stuff like that. Uh, I would like to bring back the DARE program. I don't know if you're aware what the DARE program
I'm
was.
aware of that.
Uh, they eliminated it in the schools. Why, for whatever reason, I actually don't know. But I think it was a very good program to have. Again, it was for, drug awareness, which is something that they really need to keep sending home on that. So I would want to bring that back as a governor in all schools. Actually, it's on my platform.
Okay.
Um,
All right. So the last question, as asking about yourself before I get to asking about your policy questions, is going to be, what are your areas of expertise and why is it needed for your constituents?
I'm a people person, people skills. Um, I am a problem solver. I know how to get around different barriers. I can communicate. Um, I'm reasonable and understanding to be able to negotiate. As a labor management chairman, that's one of the big things that we needed to do is be able to negotiate. Um, as a governor, that's one of the biggest things you need to be able to do, be able to communicate and negotiate and have a plan. Being the scout background, the motto is be prepared. I'm always prepared. I don't go into anything half cocked. I have a goal, I have a plan, and I execute it, and get the work done. I'm one to make sure that we accomplish, to make sure that somebody tells me it can't be done, I get it done.
Okay.
I find a way to get it done. That's a problem solver. So,
Right.
uh,
Okay. I'm about to ask a question about your policies, and the thing is that, just so you know, for all the years that I've done this, I've actually always put my partners first. But this year, I'm going to put my issue in the beginning, and we'll cycle let out for next year's, right? But I do want to have balance, so I'm going to put myself in this one. We have about like 7 different questions. I think that I asked for my partners because I have a lot of political partners because we need a coalition to actually get your stuff done in a republic, right?
absolute.
So,
Yes.
yeah. So the thing is, the first question is when we look at Israel Palestine, there are many other areas of conflict, such as Korea, such as Namibia, such as Venezuela, right? The areas of conflict all over the country, all over the world. What is your vision for peace in the face of foreign and domestic interference? We know that IPAC donates a lot of money to have their issues, kind of thrown to the forefront. I actually being Korean myself, my country's on the front of a proxy nuclear war, also faced the Holocaust, which has never really been acknowledged. Um, So and I understand that they want to fight for their own to make sure their issues get addressed. There's nothing wrong with that, but they can tilt right the level of influence in our government, right, to should we be selling billions and billions of dollars over there. So once again, it's not the question right that specific. I'm not trying to be. The question is how we protect peace and also how we protect the U.S. from foreign domestic interference of our policies.
I'd have to run for U.S. Senate or congressman. As a governor, I really don't have uh, that luxury to be able to have a voice in Congress and Washington. Although I do have a voice.
Okay.
As a governor, I do go to Washington and do meet with the president and be able to address some concerns and issues. The constituents within New York State, which is a variation of people from all around the world and different countries that live in America.
Yeah.
Uh, so it would give me an opportunity to be able to understand after speaking with the community, because I intend to do town hall meetings
If I could just
as
comment
a
on that
governor.
just for a second, you're absolutely right. This you're a state person, not a federal person, right? Usually the international stuff is handled by the federal government. But I don't know if you know, but Governor Newsom in California has engaged in a lot of weird business with Chinese nationals. Potentially, have you heard about that? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, as a governor,
New York is a
I,
huge target as
I
well.
don't get involved with, he shouldn't be getting involved with foreign governments.
Yeah,
That's up to the president of the United States and our administrations. That's their realm, not ours as a governor. We just govern our state.
right.
Again, like I referred back to issues that were people like yourself, from Asia or the Middle East or wherever the case may be, they have concerns because they have family over there, and they relayed that to me as a governor. I would be able to bring that at a governor's meeting in front of President Trump or whomever the president is at the time. Uh, that I would be able to address, say, these are concerns that my constituents have in a particular country.
Right.
They have family there that have been contacting them. Maybe, can you find out what's going on? So I could be able to get back to my constituents. But as far as Newsom is concerned, he's getting into everybody else's business, has kept his own. He can't even keep his own state working. It's
Yeah.
already burning down on him. So I think
Yeah.
you ought to worry about hometown first, instead of foreign government.
Okay.
Uh, so to speak, it's
Okay.
over my pay grade as a
That
as a
makes
governor.
sense. That makes sense. Yeah, and actually, it might be better off that way, right? So interesting. All right, let's move to the next question over here. Now, the thing is that I have a large coalition, and one of the people in my coalition with some significant potential are the people in public housing. Now, right now, just public housing ended during the Obama era. They actually, and I was an activist who went back to that era. We know that public housing actually houses people that are elderly, disabled, and also veterans. Right? Sometimes the people are have PTSD, can't really. I'm not saying that it's a mixed bag with public housing, but would you support the continuation of public housing, and aka Section 9 in the United States?
Uh, it would have to be overseen.
Okay.
One thing you don't want to mix. You don't want to mix elderly with somebody that has dramatic stress syndromes.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to put elderly with somebody where there's mental illness issues. You're putting people at risk when you
Absolutely.
do that.
I'm glad
You
you
know,
understand that.
so you need to be very cautious in the manner in which you try to uh, house people. You hate
I
to
love that so much, and that's why I'm
categorize,
a
but
Republican. Just so you know, a
yeah,
lot of Democrats are extremely careless about
yeah.
this type of thing, and a lot of people get hurt.
Oh, absolute.
Absolutely, yeah. So
They got
thanks so
it here
much
out
for
on
that.
Long Island in Smithtown. One of the legislators
Okay.
had brought that out, because they're building affordable housing, and that's what they're doing,
Okay.
uh, and they're putting people in harm's way.
It
It,
sounds
it's
like you might be. It sounds like you are really concerned about, right? And I appreciate your concern for the community. But would you still support public housing in Section 9, or would you actually be not maybe for that.
I mean, we have to have
Some
affordable homes, affordable housing. We
okay,
do have that as a program. But again, like I said, I would have to uh, evaluate and screen it to make sure that appropriate people that are in the need of the housing, based on
okay,
the criteria that I told you. Maybe in another setting, you
okay.
know, which,
Have
which
you
actually falls
have you
into the
heard?
category of veterans.
Yeah, have you
I would.
heard? Just right quick, have you heard of the concept of when you talk about affordable housing? I know like everybody has their specialty, but the thing is that within affordable housing, I believe is adjusted to the median income of the neighborhood. Have you heard of that before?
Not really.
Okay, so just so you know, there's different kinds of averages, right? And a median takes like people that are about they take it's like numerically in the middle, right? It's like from 1 to 100, they'll take like whatever's at the 50th position. So like it's so that really prevents more like outliers from really affecting right where the number is going to be. So the thing is that affordable housing it allows potential gentrification to occur. So the thing is that if everybody in the community is making more money than the people who were there before, who can no longer afford the higher rent, they're no longer able to make the median income in the neighborhood. So it allows all the properties in the space to go up, which is good or bad, right? There it is a certain amount of government interference going on there, but like I said earlier, there's people who don't have an income, who are disabled. They're just too old, right? They kind of have dementia. There are people who are veterans who are just too traumatized to really, I'm not saying to support, and there are people who are abusing it. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, and that needs to be corrected. And there are people who are encouraged to become dependent on a system, and it actually hurts them in the long run. But would you still protect public housing for our most vulnerable, like the elderly, disabled?
Absolute.
Okay,
Um, there are programs set up for that, which is assistant living,
yeah,
uh, to help people of that nature. There are places to deal with people with dementia. You know,
yeah,
the veterans. We would definitely would look into making sure that our veterans are not laying on the streets. We will find housing for them. That's one of my biggest things on my platform. That we will not allow a veteran be homeless.
yeah.
Uh, Try not to let anybody to be homeless. But our veterans paid the ultimate prices for our freedoms, and we owe them.
Well, yeah. Well,
Uh,
Democrats are really hurting that community horribly because really they're keeping them in horrible conditions. The worst landlord in from 2018 to 25 every single year has been NYCHA, the public housing system. So it's your caution is greatly appreciated because so many people just blurt out yes without thinking, and that causes so much damage.
well,
So I
you're aware of
appreciate yeah.
the tunnel for towers, Stellar. He is using uh, his organization to actually help veterans
Okay,
to get housing. I would actually hook up with him
okay,
uh, to take care of our veterans in New York State, uh, to be able to get into that type of setting for an apartment. So
yeah.
there is an avenue to pursue.
I appreciate that.
So
Yeah. Okay. So let me
uh,
I'll just move on to ask all the right for all my let's just run through these questions, then we can talk more about your individual policies. Another group of work that I work with is the trans community. Now, the thing is that I know that they face a lot of. I don't really agree with the whole, you know, giving them, surgery before they're 18. I think that's really being
no.
pushed by the industry that's trying to make money off them. I think we need to protect them from the industry, but they face a lot of discrimination, like public housing, like I'm sorry, like housing discrimination, job discrimination. I understand that, but I feel bad for them. But this is my question. It's a hypothetical question to understand how you build your answers. So in this case, we know that trans people will face a lot of discrimination, and we look at the public housing system, and let's say that 1% of the people, with 10%, this is hypothetical, 10% of the people applying for public housing are trans, right? We know that they have problems like getting to regular places. Then we do a study in public housing and find that only 1% of the people in public housing are trans. So we go to them and we ask, what do you think's happening? Why do you think there's this discrepancy? And they say, we're getting beat up. People are there's no law saying that you can discriminate against us, but we're just being treated badly, so we leave. So, so the thing is that I've asked this question to a lot of people, and quotas are highly unpopular, right? Almost nobody agrees with that, no matter what. Maybe only one or two people. And also, if we take all the trans people and put them in one building, that could be considered ghettoization, right? Like if you took all the black people and put them into one building, people would say that's bad. So how will you, whether you agree with their lifestyle or not, how will you assure communities like this fair access to government services?
Well, for one thing, uh, based on their uh, sexual preference, all
Okay.
right, there should be no difference than just a regular person. They should
Okay.
be all treated equal and the same.
I agree with you, but you
Uh,
see this, right? And I agree. But you see the numbers are off, right? They're reporting, right, that 10% people applying. So do you use those numbers? How do you use those numbers to build a solution, or do you even use the numbers? Like, how are you going to approach this? This is really to understand how you build solutions off of the things given.
I'd actually have to find out who's doing the numbers and who's evaluating it,
Okay.
um, and where they're getting their statistics from. But on a general note of it, I don't believe in any type of discrimination against anyone.
Yeah.
I would make sure that the laws are totally followed to protect everyone,
Okay.
including transgenders. Um,
I
I don't
appreciate that.
believe in
That's a
teaching
good
it
answer. Okay.
I don't believe in teaching it in the schools. I don't believe in doing surgeries or providing hormones and stuff like that at an early age. Um, Anyone that wants to do that transition, because as I said, I come from the Department of Mental Hygiene. I believe there should be an evaluation, before this is done, not to just arbitrarily get it done. Because if you really did research about it, it's a high suicide rate among the trans, you know, which indicates that they were either misguided into getting it done at an early age, um,
Or you're talking about
and they,
transitioners have a higher suicide rate. I think I've heard
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So that's something that really needs to be looked at, because, like I said, I'm here to protect everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own preferences. It may not be mine,
I
but
appreciate that. Okay.
I have to, as a governor, my job is to protect all.
Yeah.
You know,
I appreciate that. Yeah. There's a lot of people trying to make money that are trying to
yeah.
push certain things. So please be careful. Yeah. The next question is actually, just so you know, I work with other people that have been victims of academic administrator abuse. Now the thing is that I actually have presidential candidates, right, New York City mayoral candidates who have asked for a meeting between myself, Corey Edens, and the CUNY chancellor, as well as the Hunter College president. The thing is that the administrations of the colleges, they have this huge bureaucratic bloat. And you heard about that student at Brown University who actually tried to run a Doge-like program on the university administration, and he's found that there was two administrators for like everyone. No, I think for every two students there was one administrator. That's how serious the amount of bureaucratic bloat got, and then he got disciplined and kicked out of the school.
Because he found the bloat and exposed it.
Yeah, they're not allowed to ask certain questions, right? Corey Edens, she was unhappy with her academic advisor, and then they refused to really meet with her. And it's been really, for myself, um, I actually exposed. Well, okay, just to go into just a little bit more, there was an inspection by an inspection by New York State itself, the Inspector General, and they uncovered that they're using, and this is interesting for yourself because you're running for office, right? They were spending the money on lobbyists. They were spending the money, dead serious, right? They're spending money on, that's how Zoran won. They took a lot of these kids, they give them jobs. I've documented all of it in my town hall at Columbia University. We also had, I don't know if you've heard of Convention of States. They were actually a co-presenter at the event, which was very cool. But once again, these schools, they're really indoctrinating. I think Trump did a great thing stripping a lot of these schools of their grants because they are using them for political advantage. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, and I could do the same thing on a state level.
Yeah, it's extremely,
Matter of
yeah.
fact, they would be underneath the scrutiny of an audit, and they would go through the commissioner of the Department of Education.
So yeah,
I'd also set up a hotline through the Department of Education for people like yourself that find this going on within their school, but you don't want to put yourself in what I consider harm's way and get chastised and thrown out. Uh, but you want some correction on it. But
yeah.
as of now, we don't have such a venue to go to. But I would create that as an oversight,
Some of those venues have
so
been
that we can get a
compromised.
handle
There's
on
supposed
this.
ombudsman. It's a lie because he's working with the administrators, so
Right.
they're not really actually. They work more to protect themselves from liability than to actually help the students. And we even have a veteran, just so you know, talking about veterans, who also complained about it, the way he was treated. Just so you know, I actually exposed, because they're a public institution, I expose the books, right? I have a video where I go through the online accounting, and you can see that college administrators are using the student money to pay for their phone, for their cell phone, and they're also going on trips to a place called some kind of resort that has not only like a theme park, amusement park, but also has skiing and snowboarding available too. It's like an all-in-one super inclusive resort, and they're going on a leadership retreat to there on student money, on student activity money. It's really corrupt, and because I exposed that, I was actually, intimidated by university administrators. Just so you know, also, what's his name? Here's another just weird tie to the trans community. Just so you know, the thing is that when I came back to school, I actually talked to the LGBT community because I feel like bad that they face so much discrimination. And I said, "What are you guys working on?" And they said, "Right now we're working on bathroom, right? Like gender neutral bathrooms." I said, "What?" I said, "Why? When did this become a?" And you know who did it? This guy named Jeffrey Parsons. He's the same professor that he's the one who put that whole thing in the schools, and he also got busted for having cocaine and sex parties on federal money. And after he got kicked, bro, you can look it up. After he got
Wow.
kicked out, the president of Hunter College had to resign. Her name was President Rob. So the level of corruption has been so deep and outstanding. And these people, they're not the ally of the trans community. They are exploiting that community and their frustration to virtue signal and to put themselves into power. Sorry.
Well, I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you. I didn't know that far. You actually educated me now on this particular case. I know the anti-Semitism, which was, actually so brought out into the public, and the presidents of the universities were brought on the carpet for that. But nobody actually has made this very public.
Yeah.
I'm
So
sorry you went.
would you
I'm sorry
would you
that you had gone through that, but I'm happy
that,
that you brought it to my
that's all right. I'll
attention,
show you all the evidence in a hot minute.
because
Yeah.
then we need to really seriously do something. Uh, this is what I mean about having town halls where I can get input from like people like yourself and others
I'm gonna
that are
show you the
willing to
evidence in a hot
share.
minute, but just so you know, actually I got another 10-minute reminder, and part of
Yeah,
what we said earlier was blocked out just a little bit. So usually these answers are pretty quick. So um, it will chop us off again. I'll send you the link, and then as soon as you can, just jump in. And the next one should be our finisher. Okay, we should be finished after that. So sorry about all the back and forth.
not a problem.
Yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
okay. So just to finish up this question right here. So would you support a meeting between myself, a public meeting between myself, Corey Edens, the CUNY chancellor, as well as the Hunter College president, to talk about these issues of higher education and CUNY administrative abuse
Absolute,
of funds? Thank you.
absolute. Set it up and I'll be there.
Awesome. Okay. The next question will be. So the thing is that a lot of the times you have different communities that were affected, right? I used to be actually a Medicare for All supporter, but the thing is that I've actually been just so you know, I worked for a pulmonologist, neurologist. I also worked in several emergency rooms as a medical scribe. I also worked for a law firm protecting patients from the insurance companies. And once I got into the Medicare for All activism, what I found was that the drug companies and the doctors were completely running the whole entire activism scene, and there was no voice from the actual victims of the abuses of hospitals and doctors. They were completely silenced and suppressed. And it was so troubling, I had to leave, and I had to say that this is no good. So, what can you do to protect communities that authentic voices are actually, protected as in terms of being heard versus experts who are speak for us and cover up a lot of corruption and be it bullshit.
Well, I mean, the whole system is has to be oversight and investigated. You said Medicare for all. That was one of the things you had just stated.
I used to, but then after I
Yeah,
saw
I,
what
I don't
who's running
believe
the
in
activism,
it.
I realized a
It's
huge
universal.
mistake.
It's like Europe, universal healthcare, correct?
Some people have a vision of that, but there's different ones. There was one pursued by
Yeah.
Jaya Paul and
Have you
stuff like that. But
ever heard of Baby
yeah,
Evans? I bring up Baby Evans all the time.
oh no,
Baby Evans on the universal healthcare was a little child that was deemed to be terminal in Europe. But
okay,
because of universal health care, the government took over the health care of that child. The Pope at the time in Italy had this new, his medical staff had found, in Italy, the medical staff had found a possible treatment for the little child. So being that the parents decided, well, I got to do something to save my baby. They wanted to go, and the Pope turned around and said, "I will declare you a temporary citizen. We'll fly you into Italy, and we'll do the treatment for your child, and hope for the best." They wanted to do that. Do you know England turned around and denied them the right to take that child out of the hospital? That they actually went to court. They went to see the magistrate, and the magistrate turned around and said, "Absolutely not. We are the ones in care of your child, not you, the parent." They put what they call our police, we call police in Europe, it's called Guardi. They put them around that hospital and near that baby so that they were not able to take that child to Italy for a possible cure, and the little child died. That's
okay,
universal health care. That's why I bring up Baby Evans.
appreciate that. Yeah,
I stated that on the media one time, and I had people from Europe. Oh, don't use that name. You don't really know. I said I followed that case. I know exactly what it is. And universal health care does not work.
yeah,
Medicare for all is a catch-all phrase, which is the same terminology. you know, Independent healthcare. Yes, there is fraud, as you were bringing out, and with doctors and pharmaceuticals and stuff like that.
yeah,
It's rampant. We're not the only unique state that it's being done in, but there's oversight.
yeah.
We need to get involved with it. We need to have people come forward to make us aware of where it's happening, so that I can utilize my resources as a governor to go in there to oversee, correct, and bring accountability to where who's responsible for doing it.
No, I really
Uh,
hope the young people watch this because I know a lot of y'all who are like communists and social sympathizers, and I completely understand why. I understand why there's a saying that says if you are not progressive as a child and a conservative as an adult, right? You have no heart, right? As a child, and you have no brain as an adult, right? The fact of the matter is that so many of the people that you care about are being victimized by the people that you are empowering. You need to really see this. And you could see that the whole movement of Medicare for All is just a bunch of celebrities and party leadership. People that have practical experience like myself are silenced. So I
yeah.
really want you to go back and take a look at what's going on. They're very good at selling you a dog and pony show, but it's not the truth.
No, I'm fully aware of it.
Thank you.
I know exactly what you're saying,
Okay.
and that would be something I would be very want to do an oversight on, as well as nursing care. I
Oh yeah.
want to be able to regulate that and be able to have oversight, because there's so much abuse in the elderly and in the nursing facilities.
Yeah.
So, because I come from a healthcare facility, my background, I always think about, people that have health issues and the type of care that they're getting. And that's always concerning, with the short staffing. I would make sure that the staffing is adequate to provide the best care for everybody. That also goes for the mental health system as well as the nursing system, as well as the correction officers. That's another song and a dance, and I'm involved with those officers as well with the what's happening in the prisons. So, uh, yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I definitely would be very interested in
Appreciate that.
getting a handle on that.
Okay. The next allies that I work with are actually the wrongfully incarcerated. And just so you know, in Texas, right, which is actually run by the Republicans, there actually is they do have the death penalty and they will actually kill you, right? But the thing is that also, just so you know, they also have the highest exoneration rate out of all the states. So the thing is that when they mess up, they will actually admit it and free you, right? Which is actually so. While I'm not really crazy about the death penalty because I know about the wrongful incarcerations, I do appreciate Texas for being, you know, admitting when they screw up, right? Which Democrats seem to have a problem doing. Not only that, but the thing is that they also have the the best wrongful incarceration compensation package in the nation. Now, for every year of wrongful incarceration, you have to prove you're wrongfully incarcerated. You get, I think it's kind of low, but they guarantee $50,000 per year of wrongful incarceration. Some states, such as Pennsylvania, have no wrongful incarceration guideline. For people that can prove that they were wrongfully incarcerated, would you support a compensation program
Actually,
that
it does
matches
sound
Texas at 50,000?
logical because
Yeah,
you can't give back somebody's loss of time
yeah,
when they're wrongfully incarcerated. But what you can do is is benefit them with um, payment to try to make it a little easier for them to live with it, because of the wrongful incarceration. But before the incarceration, what I would do uh, is I realized that working with the prisons, um, you know if somebody feels there is an appeal process, once they're charged and before at the time that they're sentenced, there are appeals for those individuals to follow all the way through to the appeals. You know, if they feel that the system was unjust and they were wrongfully accused, uh, there is what they call a pardon system that is brought to a governor to evaluate, to see whether the person fits under these particulars and have it investigated before the governor would grant a pardon or a stay or a reduced sentence. There's different things you can do as a governor. Um, but we can also implement with that and oversee. You know, to before we reach that stage of maybe getting a pardon for somebody, there would be a small group of people that would be able to uh, get letters from the incarcerated uh, to be able to review
yeah.
uh, and have a lawyer involved with that, to see if there was things that were not done
I
appropriately.
really appreciate it. Actually, just so you know, I'm going to get you some historical people that are that I've worked with, including the longest wrongfully incarcerated man in New York State history. And just so you know, I also work with a guy named Vincent Moto, who's a man freed on DNA evidence in Philly, Pennsylvania history, and he was actually supporting a Republican governor candidate named David O. before. So my crew actually does right. And I'm not saying they don't. They sometimes will support Democrat candidates as well, but they're not against supporting Republicans that actually help them. And we have proof of this existing. So thank you so much for your attention to that matter. Another issue that right now that we're that my coalition is addressing is something called the right to repair. Have you heard of this right to repair? Okay. So the thing is that right now, just so you know, this battle was fought earlier and won. Now the thing is that when you first bought a car, They used to make it so that you only could go to the dealership to change your oilers.
Oh,
You know,
the
do
lemon law?
no, this is different. Yeah, this is different. This is
Okay, go ahead.
right to repair. So now the thing is that like before you have a flat tire, you have a something right. Maybe you need an oil change. You can only go to the dealership to get any servicing done on your car. But
Yeah,
right, they actually ended up passing a law where they said, now they have these general garages, and you have to be able to, be able to do certain repairs in those garages. Right, once you buy the car, you own it and you can do what you want with it. But
exactly.
but nowadays, what happens is that a lot of people have, for example, like the phones. What happens is that like Apple will say instead of repairing the device, they'll actually say, um, you just have to buy a new one. We're not going to repair it. So a lot of people are actually taking their phones to local repair shops and actually getting them fixed. But what happens is that now Apple's actually
It voids the warranty.
that, and also what they're doing is they're putting like little chips inside the actual screen, so that if it breaks, it won't work with any other piece. So this is just straight anti-consumer practices. Also, a lot of software that people own before people would, like for example, like Microsoft Office, right? Microsoft Word, you'd be able to use that and you would own it. But now everything's subscription. So now you're having to pay $15 every month for Microsoft, or every year for Microsoft Word. So eventually you're paying like $1,500 for over your lifetime for these products. So right to repair just means that once the question is who gets to own, right? Does it belong to the company that sold it to you, or do you get to own your own device?
But once you purchase the device, you own the device. You could take out a warranty on the device to have it repaired.
Okay.
Uh, and once you do that, and I hear what you're saying that it has to go to a dealership, or to the manufacturer, like Apple in this case that you brought up, for them to do that. Uh, as far as I'm concerned, once you own the phone and you have a warranty on it, you should be able to take it to where you want to take it to get repaired. You don't have to go to
Okay.
Apple. They have to honor the contract that it's repaired.
Or
That
could
it
you,
doesn't
or even,
void out the contract.
or
But
even the
that's
right for you to repair it yourself. Like
yeah.
for example, just so you know, like John Deere, this is actually happening with a lot of farmers. I know this. Yeah, actually, this could affect New York because New York has some farms actually, dairy farms more like on the west coast, more in the western New York, right? But the thing is that what happens is that because John Deere has an exclusive contract to repair those machines, they don't really send sometimes the person out to repair it for a month. But meanwhile, the farmer has to repair his crop now. So they want to fix their own machines, but they're not allowed to for not just breaking the warranty, but other, like they won't sell them parts or things like that. It's like other, yeah,
Once they bought the product,
yeah.
they own the product.
I appreciate that. Okay.
You know, if
So
they
overall, yeah,
if
that's
they rented the product, like a lease type of thing, then under a lease scenario, then yeah, you'd have to bring it to one of their dealers to deal with because you're leasing it from them. But if you bought and owned the product,
appreciate that.
again, if you go and get a warranty on it so that you can get the repair work done on it, then it should be, what repair shop you want to go to.
I appreciate it.
You
So
know,
now we're down to our final three questions, just so you know. So the thing is that I've covered all the questions from myself and my partners. I'm sure I could ask a couple more, but now it's time for you to really talk about your own policies, right? I know you've already spoken about some of them, but are there any particular policies or issues that you want to address that you want to talk about right now?
actually, yes. I brought it to you earlier, but this is one that's very near and dear to me. Being I come from the Department of Mental Hygiene, and being that there was dismantling of the system back in the '80s, believe it or not, it was done because of budget. Mental hygiene was the biggest budget item. Mario Cuomo couldn't balance the budget either, and took it on the state workers' backs and dismantled the system. And then we have what we have today: homeless, mentally ill on the streets. All right. But what we need, and we also have an epidemic of drug overdoses. All right. It's called dual diagnosis. If you are in New York, and I've lost a cousin. I have another one that was also having issues as a result of the addiction. We saved a life, but unfortunately, the programs that they have are not adequate and inefficient. In my opinion, they're run by actually not even well-educated people. Uh, I called a psychiatrist a whack job. I've worked with psychiatrists. I've worked with social workers, uh, and there's this. What we had at Pilgrim actually worked, and I want to implement it within the state. We need a long-term facility for 1 year that's able to deal with dual diagnosis because right now we don't have that. If you have mental illness and drug overdose, you will not get the treatment. They don't deal with mental illness with drugs. So therefore, there's inadequate care for those people. We need long-term care, like we had at the facility, uh, for 1 year. 28 days don't work. So we make a long-term facility, upstate and downstate to start off with, and we have what they call a transitional unit. After they get weaned off of the drugs and they get rehabilitated in the facility, they get into a transitional unit, which then helps them to cope with outside living, uh, their living skills. And then once they go through the transitional rehabilitation as well, then they go to outpatient care, which is then the support services that are needed for them. By doing that, you will avoid a lot of unnecessary deaths. The people will get care, uh, but you have to start somewhere. A lot of people, when I brought this up, said, "Well, who's going to pay for this?" You know, uh, the amount of waste that we're doing in the government now, we probably could have had about 10 of those facilities. But what I would do is also look for outside resources, not just old state. You know, uh, grant monies for the federal government, as well as private sector, to come in to assist and help. But it would be oversight by the state government for those facilities. So I would look for other resources to fund it, that it isn't all on the taxpayer. We have insurances. We got Medicaid, Medicare, uh, which are federal monies that are used for anyone that does hospitalization. So you have those accesses as well to fund the program. So that's one of my biggest pet peeves because nobody seems to want to address it. Hochul has done everything, but uh, sunk every single dollar into these wasted outpatient groups uh, that are doing nothing for the patient at all. That's one of my biggest pet peeves is to help those that are in need, that really need, um, and bring more awareness into the school district about drug issues. That's one of my big things. Besides balancing the budget, making life more affordable for New York State and safer. By safer, I mean to work closer with the ICE agents. Biden opened the borders. They brought everybody in here under the sun that came out of jails and psych centers. You know, we've read about the horror stories of children getting murdered and raped, and women getting beaten and raped and killed. Uh, you know, all over the place. What happened in the subways? You know, these things need to be addressed. You know, I back the blue 100%. They are a law enforcement, but I also don't want to see abuse as well. So that's also a consideration to be looked at as well. But we do need to bring law and order back into the state of New York. Our borders on the north side of New York, up towards the Canada border, are just as bad as the ones coming over across the southern border in Mexico.
Yeah.
Nobody seems to be addressing that issue too, and a lot of stuff is coming in. That's something that needs to be secured as well. So there is a lot of things that are on my platform. These are just some of the highlights that I just brought to you. That
Okay.
a lot of candidates don't even want to talk about. Uh, they just give you the basic three scenarios that they're going to do. Uh, Mine is a little bit more in depth because I have a
Appreciate
lot more
that.
knowledge. I have a lot more experience. I have a lot more uh, information that I know that can get the job done.
There was
You
definitely a
know,
richness to your answers, and I definitely appreciate your depth of understanding. I really appreciated this interview. I was impressed. Good job. Yeah. The
yeah, appreciate it.
last two questions are what's your info? How can people find out more? You got a website, you have social media where you post stuff up. Go ahead, share that.
I have a website that's up. It's Hahn HAHN number 4 governor.com.
Okay.
It'll give you my platform. It'll give you information about myself. Donations is what makes this whole platform work. I have to get elected, and volunteers I need as a grassroots candidate. I have social media on Facebook. Follow my Facebook page. I have a couple of pages. Hahn for Governor. I have Team Hahn. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. Uh, I try to be. I'm on X. I put a few things out every now and then. But basically, what I'm dealing with now is a possible primary coming up. Uh, if I'm not successful with the delegates in the February conventions in the Conservative Party and the Republican Party, then I would have to actually look for a primary. I'd
Are,
have to get over 15,000 signatures to get onto the ballot.
are your are all the links for the social media on your website at Han for Governor?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. And
I don't have the link it or I think I have the Instagram, but I have my Facebook. A lot of people follow me on the Facebook account.
we could put in the description below, or you could comment right later on the video, and I'll pin it right and make sure that your links stay at the top. And the last question is: now that people have your information, and I think you kind of already kind of like pre-answered that, what do they have to look forward to? Maybe you actually have a fundraiser coming up. Maybe you have a petition, right? When does petition? No primary, right? You got a petition, or you got a petition first, then you got a primary. So maybe there's a petition event coming up. What's up?
We're gonna review that after the February meetings.
Okay.
One thing I would emphasize on the show with you at this juncture is the delegates. I ask everyone to call their district chair people up, Conservative Party as well as the Republican Party.
Okay.
Let your voices know that they have another candidate that they want to be put in nomination
Yeah.
and support.
Okay.
Because they're blocking every venue I have to be able to do that. So in order for the people to have their voice and have their candidate, I'm reaching out to the people. You know, I am your grassroots candidate because I give a damn. That's the only reason why I'm running. I'm not in it for any political career. I never got involved with the political arena, but I give a damn because I love New York and I care about people. So I'm going to be your fighter. I don't have to answer to the political party elites. I don't have to answer to special interest groups. I answer to you, the people of the state of New York. You are my base. So I'm asking you to help me call your county chair people, conservative and Republicans, and tell them they need to support and vote for my candidacy on that convention floor. If I'm successful, I don't have to have a primary. But if I'm not successful, then I have to have a primary. And that will be ventured off into after February. I'll have that information on my Facebook account. Uh, and then I need a lot of volunteers, and then I'm going to need money. I'm going to need a lot of money to be able to get that kind of printing up.
I understand. Okay, well, sounds great. Okay, so that's pretty much it.
It's a dark day in our nation when high-level authorities will seek to use every method to silence dissent. The truth must be told.
And if you want the truth, you need to check out independent media producers just like myself, DJ L7. You should subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notifications when I release a new video.
Truth of these
We are
words
on all
is
the
beyond
major
doubt.
platforms. That includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. Unfortunately, we have definitely seen that these mainstream outlets will cave to corporate interests, so we encourage you to join our independently moderated communities of Reddit and Discord. We also encourage you to subscribe to us on BitChute Daily Motion so you can see the content that YouTube doesn't want us to let you see. Hey, now it's time for the most important part of the video. That's right. It's time for us to tell you about the Taking Action Group. Do you need an activist? Or maybe there's no activists around willing to help you with your cause and you need to learn to become an activist. That's exactly why we're here. Every week we get up with people from across the nation, in fact even sometimes internationally, and we develop strategies and a game plan to address the issues that are affecting all of us. Every week myself from New York City and of course my co-host Lisa from Los Angeles provide a coast-to-coast perspective on what's going on in the country. If you want to donate to help out with expenses, travel, equipment, stuff like that, then I definitely appreciate it, and you can hit us off at Venmo or PayPal. Thanks a lot. Hey, by the way, we also have a merch store, so check it out. Oh my goodness, it seems like you've reached the end of the video, so make sure you check out some of our other videos. Make sure you subscribe. This is your last chance to do so thanks a lot. And looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please comment below if you have any questions or issues you'd like me to address. And if you're an activist, the time to make things happen is now.